Good morning. Today we are going to discuss about competency to contract. Okay. Now first of all we'll see section wise. Chapter 2 is having section 10 to section 30. Okay. Now it deals with contracts, voidable contracts and void agreements. So section 10 to section 30 we are going to see, but it will not be completed in the one lecture itself, one videos. We will see it in the further videos. Okay. Now section 10, which I have told you in the previous lecture itself, that what agreements are contracts, all agreements which are going to fulfill all the essentials of contract and all the legal formalities which are mentioned not only in this law but other law, it is going to become a contract. Okay. Now section 11, who are competent to contract. Every person is competent to contract who is of age of majority according to the law to which he is subject, and who is of a sound mind and not disqualified from contracting by any law to which he is subject. Okay, means section 11 is telling us who is competent: a person who is major, second a person who is sound mind, and the third is what? He should not be disqualified by law. Now he should be major according to the law to which he is subject. What it means? It means that under Indian Majority Act, it is clearly mentioned that a person who completes 18 years, he becomes major. But when a person comes under Guardianship and Wards Act, means when a legal guardian has been appointed for a person because maybe he is not having any parent or he is an orphan and he is under a legal guardian appointed under Guardianship and Wards Act, then he becomes major only after becoming 21 years. Means we are protecting whom? A minor. Why minor is being protected? Why law protects a minor? Law protects minor against their own inexperience and against the possible improper, and you can say the experienced person may commit fraud against him. He may be cheated. So because he is not understanding anything, he is minor, he is not having that understanding, he cannot understand the repercussions which are there, he will not understand the rules and regulations, the terms and conditions. Therefore, when he is not understanding the terms and conditions in a contract, if he signs it, it is of no use. Therefore, law protects minors against their own inexperience and against the possible improper of those more experienced, means the more experienced person can cheat him. Therefore, the law feels that he should not be cheated. Okay. Second is what? Law should not cause unnecessary hardship to persons who deal with the minors, because the minor may enter into a contract, but the major has to understand it himself that he is a minor, he is not understanding anything. So it is better we have to wait that he becomes major, he will understand everything, then you can allow him to enter into contract. Judges are the counselors of the minor, jury is servant of the minor, and law is the guardian of the minor. Therefore, a minor's contract is void ab initio, means from the initial point, if a minor enters a contract, that contract is void ab initio. From initial point when he signs it, it is a void contract. Therefore, an agreement with or by a minor is void and it is inoperative. It is a clear law mentioned in Mohri Bibi versus Dharmadas Ghosh. Okay. Now, what is the position of minor's agreement? It is void ab initio. Okay. Therefore, a minor cannot make a promise. He cannot be a promisor, but he can be a promisee or a beneficiary. He cannot ratify his contract after attaining majority, because the law of ratification, what it says, that if you want to ratify anything, the thing which is been done previously must be unauthorized. It must be unauthorized, but it should be legal, it should be lawful. And what is minor's agreement? Minor's agreement itself is void. Therefore, minor, when he enters into an agreement, it is void. Therefore, afterwards, when he becomes major, he can't ratify his previous agreement. Okay, but if he wants, he can enter into a new contract, because now he has become major. Law allows him to enter into contract. Okay, therefore, his agreement cannot be ratified on attaining the age of majority. New contract can be entered into after attaining majority, but it should be supported by a fresh consideration. Okay. If he has received any benefit under void agreement, he cannot be asked to compensate it on the basis of the void agreement, because the agreement is void itself. What court is going to enforce? So court is also not going to enforce it because it is void. Okay, now minor can plead minority. He can say I was minor. So the contract is, or the agreement is void. He can always plead his minority. When he becomes major, at that time also he can say that this is an agreement when he entered into, he was minor. He cannot be estopped. The principle of estoppel does not apply against a minor. We cannot ask for specific performance of his agreement also. Why specific performance cannot be asked? Because the law of specific performance says that an agreement which is valid, a contract which is valid, that only can be enforced, and minor's agreement is void. There can be no specific performance of the agreement entered into by him, as it is void ab initio. Okay, but he can enter into a partnership. He can enter into a partnership means in an already existing partnership. If all the partners agree, then minor can be made a partner. But one major, one minor, these two cannot start a partnership because that agreement is void. Now, a minor cannot be a promisor, but he can be a promisee. He is not liable to pay anything to anybody on the basis of his agreement. Means he is not liable to give something to the others. Means he cannot be declared as insolvent. Okay. He can be an agent. Minor can be an agent, because the law of agency, what it states, who is liable? Principal is liable. Who appoints an agent? The principal appoints an agent. Therefore, if a principal who is of sound mind, who is major, if he is appointing a minor as his agent, then he is at his own peril. Let him do it. So law does not interfere, because for the act of an agent, the principal is liable. Therefore, minor can be an agent. Okay. Parents of the minor, the guardians of the minor are not liable for the contract entered into by him, because that agreement is void. A minor is liable in tort, isn't it? We have seen a minor is liable in tort. But when a tort arises out of a contract of a minor, is not liable in tort, as an indirect way of enforcing an invalid contract. Therefore, a minor is liable in tort. In those torts where mental element is not essential, he is liable. Okay. Now, if a tort arises out of a contract, then it is a contract. Therefore, the contract is void, the agreement is void. In that case, a minor is not liable in tort, because the tort is arising from contract. Okay. Now, in all these things what we have seen, minor's position is very good. Minor is not liable for anything. Minor cannot be declared insolvent. Minor cannot be a promisor. He can be a promisee. He can plead his minority. Always he can plead it. He is, you can say, he can never be declared insolvent. He cannot be ratified. He cannot ratify his agreement. He has to enter into a new agreement. Means his position is very good. But we are having one concept called as a quasi-contract, which we are going to see afterwards. Okay. Now, in the quasi-contract, one of the quasi-contract, what it is, that if a contract is being entered into by a minor, and what is that contract? That contract is relating to supplying of necessaries. We have seen the contract is void because it is made by a minor. Okay, but what the other person has given him? The other person has given him or supplied him necessary things. Necessary things mean just not only food, shelter and clothing, but all the necessaries like education and all, depending upon his level of standard of living. Okay, or the necessities which are there for him, like education also. Okay. Now, when these necessaries are being provided by somebody then for these necessaries the person can make the minor liable, means from the minor's property he can recover the money. Therefore, in the cases where you have supplied necessaries to the minor's property is liable under quasi contract but not under contract. Okay, we have not completed section 11. From section 11 we have seen only one aspect, that is minor's position. That is, for a person to be competent to enter into a contract, he must be major. Okay, bye bye. See you in the next video.